Hi, everyone. This is Hal Crozman with Screenwriting U, and today we're going to talk about how to work with a manager. This is, I think, an incredibly important topic, mainly because when somebody has no idea how they're going to work with a manager, even if they get one, everything after that is the unknown. So I just want to make this really clear, really simple for you guys so that you know exactly what you're doing. So today's purpose. First, to know how to work with managers so you're prepared, which is what I just said. Second, to have you be comfortable in that business relationship. Because when you're comfortable in that kind of situation, then you can use your all the creative skills you have much easier. You also are willing to ask questions, you know how the business relationship is treated, how you'll be treated, all of those kinds of things. So it's important. And once you have this model, once you have even what we're going to talk about today, you're another step closer to you having representation. And finally, we'll talk about the upcoming program that actually starts on Sunday to get you in front of managers as a great client. This is what they're looking for. They're looking for great clients. And by the way, you qualify. There's a whole bunch of places where you qualify. You just need to know what to do and what to say and that kind of thing. So that's for those of you who want to master that. It's available for you. All right. So the writer-manager relationship. This is important again. The writer and the manager are there to create mutual success. They are there to help you create your success, and you should be there to help them become more successful also. So sometimes I've heard people say, well, I don't really, I don't feel okay that they get 15% of my money and they didn't do anything and that kind of thing. It's like if you have a good manager, wow, they really earn their money. So you should be totally okay with it because that 15% got you into places you could have never gotten into. It gave you levels of credibility. It made it so much easier for you to deal with the difficult situations. Having a good manager is absolutely worth every penny and every amount of effort. Only choose a manager that you feel comfortable working with. This is another thing. If you get a manager that you don't feel like you could call them and ask them a question, or you don't feel like you could have a frank conversation about the notes that a producer sends you or something like that, if you're not comfortable, you don't really have a writer-manager relationship that's going to work for you. So you are looking for somebody, one of the keys is that you feel comfortable. And part of this will be you knowing what to do. It'll be what I give you today that will have you be more comfortable. And then part of it will be choosing the right person. And the right person isn't the perfect one, the A-list one, or those kinds of things. It's somebody that can get your career going, make things happen, and you feel comfortable with. And then together you guys work to create a plan that sells your scripts to producers and actually sells you as to do writing assignments to producers. And then at that point, the manager coaches you through both pitching current scripts. So they'll look at the current scripts that you have that are marketable and decide which ones are ready to go out, which ones need more help, those kinds of things. So they'll coach you on that. They'll also coach you on selecting and doing writing or writing for future projects. So this is selecting the project. What is the right project for you? And then especially if you're doing writing assignments, they're going to be in the middle of that whole situation, going to bat for you when you need it. So two sides of success. And both of these, by the way, we have prepared you for a long time. You don't know it, But almost every one of the classes that you've been through, I have considered what a manager needed when we created those. I have considered ultimately how you're going to work with managers because we've done about 120 some odd interviews with managers and agents to find out exactly what they needed. So we built that in so you are more prepared to have a manager or an agent than most writers who have spent 5 to 10 years writing. So two sides here. First one is the creative one. You bring in your creative process. So you're starting with that. What is your creative process? How do you write? How do you create a brand new script? Do you work nonstop, or do you work a little bit, do some writing, then go out and process whatever you've done and then come back? How fast do you write? All of those kinds of things are part of your creative process. And then you adapt it to the industry. So this doesn't mean you give in or suck up or any of those kinds of things. What this means is you say, okay, what am I already great at? And how can I make sure that it works when I'm working with producers? And don't worry, you've been well trained for this. Again, most of the screenwriting classes that are out there don't consider you working with producers inside this industry and having a manager. We did every step of the way. So you have training that you don't even know about on this. And I'm not trying to take credit for a whole bunch of stuff. I'm just saying you need to know going in, you've been well trained. And so you are going to do well as you interact with managers. We're just going to make a few adjustments here that make it really clear. Second, and then you need to be willing to take risk and step outside the box. Now, this is going to show up in a couple of places. Taking risk, sometimes this is going to happen in the midst of working with producers. They ask you to do something you've never done before, or they ask you to take this story that you wrote a certain way and rewrite it a different way that you had never even thought of. And now you just need to step in there and take the risk and move forward, right? So this is just a confidence thing. Are you willing to try something new? The step outside the box, again, you've been trained on this too. Step outside the box happens when you're creating a new project and the manager wants you to come up with a brand new concept or some characters that are unique and different or that fit a whole new wave of projects that are coming out that match the new reality out there, which our world has changed quite a bit in the last 5 years. So sometimes you're going to need to step outside the box. Again, the more comfortable you are, the better you are at the skills that you have, and the more you've done this, the easier it'll be for you. So the second part of success on this is the business side. Now, this is where you're going to be working with your manager often. You're going to plan together. You guys will plan out your future. Where am I going? What's the strategy to get you into this industry? Those kinds of things. Once you've figured out a plan, then you will collaborate on it. Now they're not going to be a writer on your project, but they're going to be interacting with you, giving you notes, things like that. So you want to collaborate really well. By the way, if you're working with a producer at that time, you'll be collaborating with the producer. So this is an amazing and important set of skills. And then completing projects. And this might sound like, so what? Of course I'm going to complete the project. But please know, there are a lot of writers who will be telling you along the way not to. They'll tell you things like, well, if the producer wants you to do it that way, then just quit or something like that. It's like, no, you don't do that in this industry. Part of your reputation is going to be that you complete projects. The pros I know, they make sure they complete the project no matter what, which means Sometimes you just got to get over something. Sometimes you just got to say, okay, they want it that way. I'll give it to them as best I possibly can, even though I think it's not quite right for the script. You know, sometimes the producer has a particular vision, or the director that you're working with, and you just need to give them what they want. But every time you complete a project, your reputation in this industry just went up another notch. So this is worth it, and it's incredibly important. And then, of course, getting paid. And, and getting paid means you've completed the project. You know, your manager put together an agreement beforehand. It's clear in the agreement what you'll be paid, how you'll be paid, where you'll be paid, all those kinds of things. So it's going to happen. Long as you do your job, you'll get paid. Now, let me show you something here, because part of working with a manager is that they are going to create some kind of strategy with you. So they're not going to come in and say, here's the strategy, no matter what you think of it. In general, this is something that'll happen early in the process. And what they're doing is this. On this side right here, they're trying to build your success. So if you looked at this and we said, let's give it numbers, maybe this down here means, you know, you're getting paid guild minimum or something, WGA minimum, you know, $80,000, $90,000 kind of thing. Maybe by the time we get up here, you're getting paid $250,000 a script to write. Maybe here it's 500,000. And up here, you're in the millions. So they want to build your success so that it's better for you and it's better for them. And I'm talking about your manager. As you go up, of course, your manager is getting 15% of $1 million versus 15% of 100,000. That's a different thing. And that's why they're working with you, because they want to create that success over time. Now, the other side of that is they need to build a reputation for you, right? And so if you go to all the way to this side, this is where you're going, which is everybody in town knows you. Everybody in town who has, you know, in your genre, everybody in town who has ever met with you, you know, and by the way, you have the kind of reputation that you're great to work with and great things happen when they hire you. All the way on this side over here, this is where you're just starting out. So here we're at zero. We have no success. We have no reputation yet. You know, you might have a couple of small deals, but inside the bigger industry, maybe you're unknown at this point. That's totally okay. The manager looks at that and they say, we're starting here, and our objective is to go all the way up to here, where you have the financial success and you're well known. That's their job, right? So how do they do that? Often they help you choose a specialty. What's the thing that you're best at that is going to be the easiest to sell out there and is something that you can become the go-to person in that area? This might be a genre that you're best at. Maybe you're best at a thriller or something like that. It might be some particular type of writing. Maybe you do adaptations really, really well or something. Or it might be, you know, a type of character or you know, particular kind of story that you're amazing at. You know, if somebody is incredible at creating horror movies where we really feel for the characters, or it could be just you are one of the best there is at creating strong female leads that women are just say, that's me on the screen. And they love the journey and they tell everybody, you have to go see this movie, right? Whatever it is, they're going to be looking for what's the thing that you love to do, that you're great at, and that they can easily sell you and build an incredible reputation around. Now, the main way they're going to build this reputation is by first going out with a project, and they'll The first project that you take out is going to be the one you're going to introduce yourself to the town or to a specific set of producers with. They'll they'll pick 30 or more producers. These are just generalizations from the interactions I've had with managers. They'll pick a series of producers. You'll go out on that first project. You'll meet them for the first time, whether it's in live or on Zoom. And then they will have you go back to them a second time with another project inside that specialty. So now they've seen you twice, and they have seen projects from you twice that they went, wow, on each one. Probably you'll be making a deal here. You might make a deal back here, but probably at least in the second time, you'll be making a deal with somebody. And then you'll come back with a third time with another project in that specialty. Now they're seeing you as the go-to person. Like, let's go back. Let's say you have strong female leads and you are great at it and you understand it so well that anyone who watches the movie just goes, oh my God, that's an incredible character. That actors are going out of their way to play that character. If they've seen that 1, 2, 3 times, by this third time, they're likely, I'm talking about the producers, are likely pitching you on their next project that they want you to write. So this model, if they present this to you, what they're thinking is, how do we get this person from zero to be getting $1 million a script? How do we make that happen? And this is a pretty strong model for doing that. So be open to that. Be open to writing 3 projects in a row, bringing in one that fits that specialty, and then having another one, and then a third one, so that you can build this amazing reputation and get the kind of money that you deserve. Now, 5 main activities that you're going to do with managers. And what you want to do is first look to see what skills you already have in this area, because you do. You already have skills in each one of these areas. And then second, how can you get stronger? So first one is planning and creating a career strategy. So I just showed you a version of a career strategy. And that might be a version they use, or they might present some others. We had one writer recently who called me up at one point, and she said, I'm talking with this manager. He wants to represent me. How do I make my choice? And my response was, okay, you've talked with him once. I asked her a bunch of questions, found out what had happened in that meeting. And then I said, all right, what you want to do is go back now and say, I'd really like to just talk with you, if it's okay, about how we might plan my career. Now, just that it shows that you're a writer who knows what you're doing. You know this is incredibly important, and you know this is something that you've got to lock down early on so that everybody knows what it is that's going to make you successful in this industry. So by the way, she did that. She got on Zoom with the manager, and she said, she goes, I have this one question, and I'm wondering if you could help me out on it. The question is, how are we going to plan my career? What strategy are we going to use? They talked for about an hour. He presented 3 different possible strategies based on the kind of scripts that she wrote. Between the 2 of them, they decided on one and moved forward. He signed her that night. And that made a big, big difference. Part of what you're doing here is you're creating shared goals that will have you both be successful. When you create that career strategy, pretty much both of you now know where things are going, you know how you're going to make this happen, right? And you both have this set of goals that you are working towards together. Just that will make you and your manager like best buds because you're doing something together, and you're doing something that's going to make both of you more successful, right? And at the same time, you're not just wandering. I know some writers who have gotten a manager, they didn't have this conversation, and for some reason, I don't know why, the manager didn't either. And it basically just became nobody had any idea where they were going. So this is important. So, and here's what you're doing. You're choosing a direction, right? And a path that fits your creativity and fits the manager's business needs. So both of those are important, right? If you choose a path that doesn't fit your creativity, which a manager or a good manager would never let that happen. But if you do that, what happens is now you're off trying to reinvent yourself. You need to come in with what you're best at and make something happen. Choose a path that fits for you and for them. And once you've done that, then pretty much all the main decisions are going to be made based on that plan, right? It's like, okay, we just came out with this first script. We went out to 30 producers that all fit that particular project. We didn't make a deal, but we have a really good chance. We've built some strong relationships and we have a chance to make a deal in the future. So the next project that you're coming out with needs to fit that plan and will help you do whatever's next. Whatever the plan is you and the manager come up with is fine. You don't have to do the one I just showed you. You have your conversation, find something that will work and move forward on it. Second thing you're going to be doing, B, is project selection. And this is something where before you get a manager, you can select projects in 50 different ways. It could just be whatever popped into your head, could be something that you were just interested in, could be somebody suggested something and you just went with it. Here now, what's about to happen is you're going to be selecting the project, considering the future, considering the industry, considering what will sell, and considering what works best for you. So those things are critically important to your success. And it's like you're not just writing for fun anymore, although your job is to make it fun. That's part of it, right? You want to make it fun. But you're writing now to be able to make something happen, to be able to produce that result that will get you the success that you want. So you're going to select highly marketable projects that fit your market and fit for your creativity. Then C, writing spec scripts. So once you've selected these projects, those are spec scripts. Nobody has paid you to write them. Nobody's saying they're going to pay you yet to write them. So you're speculating. And that's totally okay. It's in this case, you're speculating with a manager who believes they can sell what you're creating. And the reason they believe that is because they're in the market. So they know what's happening. It's a little bit of a risk, but it's not as big a risk as all the ones that you've created before this. So because you've got somebody that believes in you, that believes they can sell it, that can take it out for you, that is already interacting with the big producers in this industry. So it's less speculative than probably anything you've ever written before. And that's good news. Your manager is going to go with you. They're going to have conversations with you on choosing the concept, right? Then they'll give you feedback on the outline. A lot of times, and you'll have to ask the manager because some different managers are different, but this is pretty general. Concept, outline, and characters, you'll be submitting those to them, and then you will talk back and forth. They'll give you feedback, notes, you'll work together to be able to make it happen. Then from there to drafts, and it depends on the manager. Some managers want to look at your first draft and your final draft. Some managers want to give you feedback on every single draft. So just ask them and find out. And whatever that is, it's totally fine. You just take the notes from your manager at every step and you do what you can to improve it. When you're taking notes from a manager, remember this person is on your side. Their whole purpose is to make you successful. Uh, if you don't like one of the notes, you absolutely go back and talk with them and just have the conversation. It's not a heated conversation. It's a, oh, what was I thinking kind of conversation. Or it's a, well, let me, the manager may stop and explain to you, here's why I gave you that note. Here's what's happening in the industry. Something just changed, or there's a specific need, or it could be a story thing. I just looked at it and thought, wow, if we created more suspense at this point, it would make a big difference. Or if you wrote that character in a different way, first, it might be a more interesting character, but it also might be easier to sell to an actor. So all of this is you guys working together and enjoying the ride. So, and then doing writing assignments. Now, if you've taken our writing assignment class, just go back and review the lessons and your notes and what you did. We have a writing assignment class that is just designed for you to succeed at this. And the perfect place to succeed at it is with a manager. That's the easiest way to do it. They can get you paid writing assignments. If you already have the process down and you know what you're doing, that's going to make such a huge difference when you're presenting to managers. Often they will ask you specifically about how you might do writing assignments. So again, just go back to the writing assignment class that you took. Go back over that stuff so that it's fresh in your mind for when you talk to managers, and you'll be totally fine. A couple of things. Writing sample, critically important to your success. This means when you present a writing sample, it means that the manager goes out to producers who need writers. They will take out your writing sample for whatever genre that you're in. The producer will look through it, and if they love how you wrote that, they're probably going to hire you. Now, first thing I would do is I just look and say, what genre am I best at? Do I have a great script in that particular area? And then go make it even better and make sure it absolutely honors the genre. Critically important. The way producers often ask for writers is they'll say, I'm looking for a great thriller writer. I'm looking for a great comedy writer. I'm looking for a great horror writer, whatever it is. So you then submit a writing sample. That's a script that shows that you're a master of that genre. Important. From there, you do producer meetings. Once you've made the deal, you do producer meetings where you guys go through and you and the producer gives you notes on whatever you're writing. With the producer, it'll be the same kind of process. You'll be going back to them with characters and outline, first draft, second draft, third draft, all that kind of thing. They'll give you notes. You do the rewrites. You get it back in. You write and rewrite. And the manager handles the business side. Along the way, you and your manager discuss and brainstorm the producer notes. Now, this is important. When you get notes from a producer, you're doing a writing assignment and you've got a manager. When you get notes from a producer, you go through them, see which ones make total sense to you, and absolutely, yes, I'm going to do those. Then have a conversation with your manager about any that don't make sense to you or any that you think this isn't going to work or something like that. Because your manager is the in-between person. They're somebody who's there to help make this deal and help have you be successful. So they can go back to the producer and say, hey, you know what, I'm really wondering about this one note you gave. You want us to change the lead character to a completely different age, etc. What are you thinking? Is there a reason why, and find out. If what it turns out is, oh, they have an up and coming star who's 18 years old and you wrote it as a 35-year-old Character, well, maybe it's the smartest thing for your career to say yes to that, but you and your manager will discuss it and make sense out of it. And you'll be totally fine. Then it's about pitching and building your reputation. And what this means is every time you go out for a pitch, again, whether it's on Zoom or live in person, every time you go out for a pitch, you are building your reputation. You're building your reputation in how you pitch, in how you interact with the manager, or the producer, you're building your reputation. You're building your reputation in how you answer questions, and how easy you are to work with. So it's like pitching isn't just about whether you get the deal or not. It's about whether you set the future up and build your reputation. And then when you get a deal, that's all the sweeter. So every project gives you more experience and confidence. Even if you don't make a sale, it's still absolutely worth it, and it creates long-term relationships. So that's one of the big keys to your success. Let me give you some key questions now to ask a manager when you're trying to select them. And these, by the way, these came from times when writers were interacting with managers, and in most cases didn't think to ask the questions, but along the way we figured out what questions they should ask, and they ultimately got a manager. So it makes a difference. Ask the right questions, they'll see you as a pro. The right questions, they're not quizzing you. It's not that kind of thing. This isn't about perfectionism. It's just about some simple things. What these questions do, the ones I'm going to give you, is they give you a map of what to expect in the future, so you'll feel completely comfortable working together. And this, again, this is, in my opinion, critically important in a relationship with a manager. So here's the first one. Ask the manager. Once you get to a point where a manager has already read one of your scripts and they're talking about the possibility of working together, ask them this question. How do you work with writers? Now, let me be really clear on this. I had somebody, I said, here, I want you to ask this question to the manager. And the guy said, I can't ask that question. That'll make me look stupid. And I said, no, it actually does the opposite. It makes you look really smart. He was thinking any question that he didn't know the answer to made him look stupid. So it's like that. Just don't be thinking that way. Please know, when you ask this question, different managers have different ways of working with writers. If you look at the spectrum of managers, all the way on one end, you've got the managers who are hands-on, who are talking to their writers constantly, who are having fun in the process, all of that kind of thing, and are the easiest to work with, by the way. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the managers who used to be agents, and they still think like an agent. And so they're saying things like, well, you just go write the script, come back to me when it's done. Whereas this manager over here will be wanting to talk with you all the way through the process. They'll be giving you notes at every single step. They'll be interacting with you about it. They'll come up with ideas along the way, right? So the two opposite sides, you can't just assume you know how to work with, or how the manager works with writers until you ask the question. And here's what this will do for you. When you ask this question, the manager will then say, oh, okay, well, here's how I like to work with writers. And they will give you a complete understanding of it. And now you know exactly what to expect. So you know if they want to talk with you once a week, all the way through working together. There are some managers that want to do that. You know if they are on the opposite side, where they just want you to come back to them when you've got work done, or wherever they are in the middle. Just give me a call whenever you need me, or maybe it's call my assistant and set up an appointment. Different managers have different ways of working together. Once you know what it is, now you know what to expect and you're completely comfortable. Let me just give you the opposite of this so that it's really clear. We had one lady who I asked her if she had an agent or manager, and she said, yes, she had met with this guy. He was somebody who had been an agent and then he became a manager. And he said he could sell my project. So I signed with him. And she goes, and I haven't heard from him for 6 months. And I said, okay, have you tried to call him? And she goes, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. So this would have solved that. So what I told her, by the way, was to go back and just say, hi, how are you? I was just wondering, I was just curious what you expect out of me and how you and I will be working together. And I had her do that, and it changed everything because then she found out and she understood, and they started making appointments. They met once a month, those two. But that's, again, an agent. Here's the second question. What strategy do you need to see for creating my career? Or what strategy do you see for creating my career? I told you about a writer who asked that earlier when I sent her back to this manager. This is a conversation that usually the first part of the conversation is going to happen before you sign, right? So you haven't signed with them yet. They're talking with you in a way that sounds like you guys will work together. They loved the first script. You pitched them a second. They said, wow, yeah, go ahead and send it to me. At that point, once they've read one of your scripts and loved it, I would have this conversation. Can I ask you if you'd be willing to share with me a little bit about how you and I might work together to create a strategy for my career? You can ask it any way you'd like, but it basically comes down to you need the word strategy and you need creating my career in it. And what happens on this is suddenly you'll see whether this is the right manager for you. And if you love what they're doing, then yes, you move forward. You do what you can to make that deal happen, make that relationship happen, right? It's critically important. Don't go into a manager relationship if you have zero idea about this. So asking them this question both of these questions are completely professional questions. They not only expect you to ask these questions, but they appreciate it. I had a guy who told me, he said, I can't ask that question of this person. And I said, you guys just talked. And he goes, I know, but it's like, wow, I'm really asking a lot. And I said, no. If a manager can't talk strategy with you, they're not a manager. This is what managers do all the time, is create strategy for their writers. So I said, call this potential manager up, call him back, and just say, hey, I just had this one question. I was wondering if I could ask you, what strategy do you see for creating my career? So about an hour and a half later, the guy called me back, the writer, and he said, wow, that was maybe the best conversation I've ever had in my life. And I was like, really? Wow, good for you, man. What happened? And he says, well, I got to tell you right off the bat, he signed me. And I'm like, yes, good for you. Congratulations. All right. And then he told me, he asked that question and he said the manager laid out 3 different possible strategies for his career. They talked about all 3 of them and then picked the one both of them liked the best. And that's when the manager said, okay, great. If you're okay with it, I'd like to represent you. And they made the deal. It came from this conversation. Now, it also came from the script that the manager had read. It was incredible. The writer had done a great job. It was highly marketable, but this conversation sealed the deal. So that's worth doing. Here's one other question that sometimes you might want to ask this one. I like these 2 best. And then if you still don't know what to do, ask them, what do they need or expect from you? Because again, if you didn't find out here what they actually needed and expected from you, then this is a worthwhile question to ask. If you did find out, then don't ask it. But what this does, again, is it shows you're a pro. It shows you're trying to fulfill the relationship, do what you're there to do to be able to make this happen. And it also will give you certain information so that you can look into the future and go, this is what's expected of me. Am I okay with that? And if so, great. You move forward and you make the deal. So now, for many of you, there are some of you who will just go out and just make this happen on your own, and that's totally fine. But just ask yourself, does it help if you have a structure? Does it help if you have a structure that activates you, that is designed to keep you moving forward, and that kind of thing? If the last time you thought you wanted a manager, you just kind of held off, or within a day or two, you forgot about it or something like that, a structure may be the exact thing you need. A lot of people work better inside a structure. That's one of the things that our classes do, is it gives you a structure. So I think it's so much easier to do it when you're doing it with people, and you've got a structure that builds this strategy into your life. What we've done so far is we've just kind of talked about it, but what if everything we talked about, you got really, really good at it? It became absolutely natural for you. Second thing is, a structure can keep you moving forward, especially for people who are deadline oriented. Having a deadline a lot of times is the thing that has you get the most work done in the 24 hours or 48 hours before it. That's what I was just saying. It presents deadlines that move you into action. And having a group that works together and supports you can make a huge, huge difference. So this is what we're about to do here. The class that's coming up Sunday, let me walk you through the steps that we're going to use to land a manager. What we've really been talking about today is, what do you do once you're in that situation, once you have a manager, the 5 different key things that your actions and activities that you and the manager are going to be doing on a regular basis. Here, we're working to get you a manager. So the first thing we're going to do is start building a network of managers that you can pitch multiple times. I'll tell you why. A lot of people think, I'm going to get in front of one manager. That manager is going to be perfect. They're going to say yes, and I'm in business. Every once in a while, that happens. It happens about 1 out of 75, maybe 1 out of 100 times that you get in front of one manager and everything goes well. And it just, the manager has the right need, and you are bringing all the right skills and understanding and answers to questions and all of that. But in reality, most of the people who have gotten managers that I've talked with, we've had over 100 of our writers who have gotten managers. Most of them have gone back to those managers multiple times, and a lot of them had a whole network of 20 to 40, sometimes even 50 managers that every time they took a script out, they went and pitched them. And for one lady, she said it took almost a year. She went back to these managers 3 different times during that period of time with 3 different scripts. The 4th script she took back to a manager. The first manager said yes to her, and he said he had been thinking about representing her the whole time. So, you've got to be ready for that. That's got to be an option, and you need to be set up for it. So that's what we're going to do here. Second, then it's going to be about making sure you create great pitches for your projects. And pitching is where a lot of people fall down. It's where a lot of people, first, they don't know how to create a great pitch. It's like, it's something that they can write a story, they can write a summary, but when it comes to creating the hooks and creating the pitch and then delivering it, they don't have that yet. So here you're going to master that. And we've got an AI model also that can help you create pitches in our query letter model. It's astounding. It took our development team about 10 tries to create it. So it's pretty high level. Third, then it's about getting feedback and making sure your scripts are high quality. We will do this again if you know about screenplayfeedback.ai, which we have an amazing feedback model for scripts. You will get feedback at least once and maybe twice on each of 2 scripts so that you can make sure it's the absolute best it can be. Now, you can also share feedback with each other and whatever else you'd like to do on that. But I promise you, the feedback that we're going to get you is really, really strong. And then it's about pitching managers. And we'll do this in a couple of ways. But first, we're going to prepare you to pitch. We're going to practice it multiple times. I have a group right now that is doing this. We just had a major practice session the other day. What we're doing is every single time, once we've got the pitches created, every time we get together, we break out into breakout rooms and people practice pitching. So by the time you're in front of the manager, you will have done it so many times that you are completely comfortable, that you are absolutely aware of them and how they're responding, and you know exactly what to say to answer their questions. This is going to change your life as a writer in this industry because you'll be able to do one of the key things that gets you business. And then number 5, we're going to return to those managers with the next great pitch and the next and the next. So this is incredibly important. A lot of times people will meet a manager, they'll have one conversation, and then they'll never follow up with them. We will be doing follow-up, and I'll walk you through this. I'll guide you on every bit of this. And then once we've done the follow-up, then you'll go back to them with another pitch a month later, 2 months, whenever you're ready. And you will start that process of having them see you over and over and over until they go, wow, this writer's amazing. I've got to work with them. So this is designed to either get you a manager by the end of the program or 3 months later or 6 months later or a year later, whenever it is, sooner or later, it will happen. And if you're worried about it being longer, just know this. By the time you sign with a manager, you will have so much more experience because you'll have gone back to them and pitched over and over and over again with different projects. And they will know. They will know that you know what you're doing. Now, let me just walk you through what it is, just so you know on that. This is a 4-month-long mastery program having to do with specifically getting managers. But all of this also translates to producers. So all the skills you're going to learn here, you are going to use every time you meet with a producer, every time you do a writing assignment, right? It's all part of the same thing. The training starts this Sunday, and it goes every other Sunday until February 15th. So, again, it's a little more than 4 months, but don't worry about that. That's okay. You'll be building your manager network all the way through that. You'll be creating your pitch early on and then creating another pitch, a second pitch for another project in case they say, what else do you have? We will be setting up and talking about different ways to get you recommended, because getting you recommended in this industry can make a tremendous difference. When somebody is willing to put their neck on the line for you, it causes managers to sit up and listen. And then you will master pitching managers. We'll actually be doing some face-to-face pitching. This will be a couple of times. We'll be doing some face-to-face pitching where you'll be pitching managers. This will be in January. So you'll have already spent 3 months preparing. You'll have already done all of these things. And when we get in front of these managers in January, you will be completely ready. At that point, once you've had at least some face-to-face pitching, and by the way, we'll do it in groups. So you and your group will practice pitching together. You guys will be so comfortable. Then we'll bring in a manager, and every person there will pitch the manager. You'll get to see how the manager responds differently to different pitches. This is incredibly valuable. Most people only have the experience of when they pitched and whatever the manager did. But when you see a manager respond to 7 or 8 different people in different ways, and especially when you see them light up on certain pitches, it's like, okay, now I know what to do. Now I know what works and what doesn't. And by the way, you'll be coming in with a great pitch in the first place. Everybody will, but this will take it to a whole different level. Once we've done the face-to-face, then we'll do 15 days of marketing to managers, and here you'll get to choose any way you want. If you want to market through email pitches, if you want to market face-to-face on, some of those Zoom sites that you pay for to get face-to-face with a manager, if you want to market through LinkedIn or however you want to do. We have about 7 different strategies you can use, whichever works best for you. If you want to make phone calls, if you want to call, if you're local in LA, you want to call and go in and do live meetings with them. You can do whatever you'd like. But what we're going to do is 15 days that will get you completely comfortable with nonstop marketing. Because this is what you want to do every time you finish a script and you have a great pitch. You want to go out and immediately just start marketing to those managers, getting it in front of as many managers as possible. And these will be managers that you've already talked with. So the second time is more comfortable. The third time is even more comfortable. By the fourth time, somebody will sign you. And so that's what we're doing. Now, let me just give you the information here. The dates, again, it starts this Sunday. The location is on Zoom. The price is $750, but you can get in a special right now at $550. And that special ends after Sunday. So once, Sunday we're starting. So if you want in for the $550, sign up now. And by the way, this is going to be an amazing program that is going to make you so much stronger as a writer. Here's 2 links. The first one is if you're just paying the $550. If you need a payment plan, the second one is for payments. That one, I think it's $120 a month for, I think, 6 months. I may be off on that. I think it's about $50 more than this $550. So whatever it is on that, just if you need payment plans, you just click that link. And let me just clear up something on the links here. It's bit.ly, bit.ly/career-launch-7-Zoom. No caps, no spaces, and you have 3 dashes in there, right? So just take a picture of this right now so you have it. Use whichever link you need. If you want to do the payment plans, you just add a dash, payments with an S at the end. There you are. So again, what this program will do is make you a master at this thing of presenting and interacting with managers. That's our job. Our job is to make it so that you know more about managers than other people. Most of the writers coming in, 95% have no idea what they're doing. You are going to be in the top 1% of writers coming in this year. So this is one of those things where coming in, knowing what you're doing, puts you in the league of the kinds of writers they want. Most managers hire writers who have already worked inside the industry, but there are certain ones, and these are the ones that we're going to bring in, who are open to new writers, but they expect you to know what the other writers know that are working in the industry. So this program will get you that. You will have mastery over this thing of interacting with managers, presenting yourself to managers, pitching managers, and understanding what's going on in their minds and their decision-making process. It changes everything. So if you want to get a manager and you're willing to do the work, just come join us. I promise you, you will absolutely love what this does, both for increasing your chance of success and building your confidence and your internal strength as a writer. So I'm looking forward to working with you. Again, it starts this Sunday. I will see you on Sunday, and we'll start working together at that point. Good talking with you all. Bye-bye, everyone.